Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside me today. Today I want to give to you my long-term review of the Tethrd Skeletor climbing stick. So Tethrd apparently thought I was cool enough to send these sticks back to me in August, so I've been playing with them for quite some time. I shot a doe here in Pennsylvania while using them. I shot my biggest buck to date, period, whether with a gun or a bow, out in the great state of Indiana. And I'll link videos if you're interested to those hunts down below. But I've put dozens and dozens of sits. I've carted them over many miles here in the Pennsylvania and Indiana terrain, getting them set up. And I am running them exactly stock, right out of the box. Now, I don't get all wild and, whipped up about weights and lengths and dimensions and everything else. I want to know, if I pull a stick out of the box, do I need to modify it or can I work with it as is? Because if I'm going to pay 100, 200, 300 bucks for a quality set of sticks, I want to know how much time I'm going to invest outside of that price to get them to the needs that I want. So I've been running the 4 sticks right out of the box. Now, if you know, I like to use mini sticks, that 17 to 21 inch step spacing, which works perfectly for me. I'm 6'4", so I'm definitely on the longer end, but having that standard 21 inch step spacing or whatever the specs are that are popping onto the screen, that works out really well for a litany of different people, not just me with long legs. So I've been running these exactly stock. I've been running all 4 of them. Now, I have used aiders in the past on lesser sticks just to shave off weight there, so you get those sticks closer down to 2 pounds per and then add the aider. But aiders are a pain in the butt. And if I can just run 4 sticks, get to the same amount of height as 3 sticks with aiders, or at least pretty close, I'm definitely going to do it. So the only thing I have done to these out of the box, as you can see, is I've added some strapping. The only reason why I've added these straps is just for peace of mind. Tethrd has used their pin system that they had on their much more expensive 1 sticks. It's the same deal, and these sticks hold together. I mean, it's phenomenal. I've just done it because I cart these things over miles and miles and miles. I'm going through laurel and all sorts of red brush here in Pennsylvania. I'm sure those of you in the Southeast can relate to the thick, nasty stuff of the swamps that you guys have to go through. I don't want these sticks accidentally coming apart. So now here's gravity, right? I'm just going to hold my hand here. Yeah, so that doesn't happen. But you see how much effort and energy it takes to get these things to come apart. So that's why I do put, because most of you, right, would have them bolted together or pinned together and then strap them onto your pack. I obviously am not doing that. I'm carrying them with a different strap system, which I'll show you now. I'm not going to lie, that was like one of those like Jack-in-the-Box things that you did when you were a kid. You wind it up and then it pops out at you. That's what that whole experience was like. So let me get my breath back here. So as you can see here, this is actually a bow carrying strap, right? You could hook it onto the limb pockets of your bow and sling it over your shoulder so you don't have to carry your bow. You could just walk in hands-free, if you will. But I have attached it here to one of the sticks through the standoff, and this is then how I would carry all the sticks together as they would hang off the bottom. Works out really well. I've been doing this system now for 2 years. I ran it with my older API sticks, and now, of course, with the 1 sticks. So I'm going to put this stick off to the side because we don't necessarily need it. We just need a regular stick that's stock. So like we just talked about, it does use the pin system. They are using a much more malleable but still very firm rubber pin instead of the hard plastic one that they used on their original set of 1 sticks. Haven't had any cracking or breaking. Short one up at the top, long one in the bottom. And you can see how together these go. They go together very easily. There's the holes in the standoff. Put the long pins in to start them. Cinch everything together, and now your sticks are together, which is really nice. I prefer that over the suction cup system that Hawk uses, or the my API's part of the standoff like sticks on with a little bit of friction to the other one. It's loud, it's clanky, it's noisy. The rubber wears off easy. Pin system is definitely by far superior. So let's get a weight on these sticks here. We'll just weigh one and just see what we got here. So this is a postage scale, so it should be pretty accurate. And I'm getting 2 pounds, 1.7 ounces. That's with the rope, and that's fully ready to go. Not all stick manufacturers are going to weigh their sticks. Let's just weigh another one just for kicks and giggles. I'm getting a weight of 2 pounds, 1.8 ounces. So they are right there within 1/10 of an ounce next to each other, and that's pretty solid. Like I said, I was getting just over 8 pounds for all 4 sticks. I will take that because I was getting just over 8 pounds for 3 modified sticks with aiders, and I was getting to the same height with 4. So that's pretty good. As you can see, of course, they've done a lot of Swiss cheesing to the bar, as well as to the standoffs, and of course to the foot cleats, so that way you do shave off all that weight. So let's actually talk about these steps and standoffs then. So as you can see, we definitely have that X shape, which when put against the tree, pulls the steps away from the tree so you can fit much larger boots onto the stick, which for somebody like me who wears size 12, 12 and a half, and then you throw in all the insulated boots and all that sort of stuff, having the stand, instead of the the step sticking straight out and sticking back towards you gives you more foot clearance, which is fantastic. Also, the standoffs themselves, like I said, they are nice and cleaned out CNC'd, so that way you do have a lot of weight savings here. More importantly, all of these teeth are stupid sharp. I have cut into more trees. I've scraped myself more times than I care to admit. I've actually been really cautious by carrying around my pack and my carabiners and my ropes and that type of stuff, because I'm really afraid that they're actually going to have too much bite and cut or nick some of those special things. So I haven't filed them off or sanded them off. Like I said, I just left them stock, and they have dulled down a little bit over time with use, which is great. Like I said, I put several dozen sits into these this year, so that has been great. But the bite into the tree is absolutely phenomenal. Once you get these things properly locked in and cinched down, they absolutely do not want to move. How do you like that for biting to the tree? Which is not a case that I've seen with a lot of other sticks. Either the standoff is too narrow this way, or it's wide enough, but then the ends are too blunt and you're not getting a good bite into the tree. That's the biggest fear that I have, being 215 pounds in street clothes and then well into the 240s, 250s with a fully loaded pack with camera gear and the bow and everything else. I really am cautious about the bottom or the top of the stick kicking out and causing a fall just based on my weight and the amount of pressure I can put on a stick. So moving the scale out of the way so we can fully deploy this and set it onto the table, you'll see that Tethrd has pulled out the Dynalock cleat, which is this X-shaped pattern here on the front, with the Amsteel modification, which is something that they brought over from the much more expensive one stick. I'm very glad that this is on here. I like rope modifications as it is. I've used 8mm accessory cord, I've used Amsteel daisy chains, I've used hammock straps, I've used a whole bunch of things to eliminate metal buckles. I don't mind cam buckles, they're great on more permanent sets or stuff that I'm going to leave in the woods at least for a week or two, but when it comes to the run and gun system and trying to set up quietly and get down quietly, you're close to the bedding area, so on and so forth, I like having a rope modification. The Amsteel is, of course, the thinnest weight ratio to strength that you're going to get. Amsteel, of course, is used in a lot of saddle bridges and a lot of other heavy-duty applications where you need a thin diameter rope to carry literally hundreds and thousands of pounds. So using the Dynalock cleat, I don't have a telephone pole or a tree down here to demonstrate. You can go ahead and look at Tethrd's official video for how to use the Dynalock cleat, but it is super simple, wrapping around, making the X. I don't have any knots to tie, or with the daisy chain, which I thought I would really like. I don't, because you always seem to be in between holes. This just simplifies the whole system and makes it super user-friendly. I never had an issue with it slipping, never once. Like I said, I'm a 240, 250 pound guy, fully loaded climbing up the tree. Never needed a safety knot, nothing else. It works really, really well. The only issue that I have had with using the Amsteel compared to like accessory cord or other heavier type of rope is that it doesn't throw well around a tree. So I find myself here in the big timber of Pennsylvania getting into some pretty large diameter trees, stuff that even me, 6'4", can't reach all the way around and just kind of grab the rope off the stick. So I can't throw it very well because it's very light. That's the only issue I've had with it. If you hunt much smaller trees where you're not as big as me and you don't need to hide behind as big of a tree, you won't have an issue. A trick that I've done to get the rope around the tree, and I'm talking like I need like an extra 2 inches, right? Is that I will completely undo the rope from its system, and I'll actually put the rope on the end of the stick like this, and then I'll reach the whole stick around the tree, and that gives me that extra 1.5 feet. Then I can pull it off and so on and so forth and continue hanging the stick correctly and getting on with my hunt. And since I have the rope undone here, let's talk about the storage system. This is by far the nicest thing. I always have a problem with my API sticks. I think there are gremlins living on the first floor of my house. But anyways, the storage system, there is a button down here. So once you put in all 4 of the legs here, so they don't pinch the Amsteel off by accident, all you have to do is loop it around. And if you have a stick that doesn't have this type of rope containment system, you're wrapping it around itself, you're wrapping around all 4 of the sticks. That is super simple. Couple wraps behind the Dynalock cleat, pinch it into itself, and you just have this little bit of tag in, and it's not going to come undone. I've never once had a stick lose this bite on the amp steel on the end, which is super clean. It's just a really nice system to keep everything together. So a few last minute things to talk about with the Skeletors. Thing number one, because the bite into the tree is so good, you have to, once you get this around the tree, you have to pull that bottom out, pull it down to eliminate all of the sag in the amp steel. I definitely have gremlins living in my house. Listen, this is what happens when you have a basement shop and you have young children that live in your home and you're playing daddy daycare for the day. It is what it is. You have to have this when you put it up against the tree. You get that Dynalock cleat wrapped around, pull the bottom of the stick away from the tree, slide it down to eliminate all the slack in the rope, and then you can seat it in the rest of the way, just like you would like the Predator platform, for example. Push it down, then cam it over. That allows it to bite into the top, but it doesn't start the biting into the bottom until all the slack is out of the rope. Why? Well, if you don't, you will bend one of these cleats. Ask me how I know. So that definitely was user error. I hadn't taken the stick, pulled it out from the tree, and set it down. Now, this was something I did not know about. Recently, Skeletors haven't even been any release date on them. Tethrd just sent these to me and say, here, Nate, use them. And I said, sure. And I've been using them just like I would use any other stick, which I just put them on, pull them down as far as I can with my hands, and then step onto the stick. And it wasn't until I must have just had just enough slack, the tree was just hard enough or soft enough or whatever, and it bit in right side with my right foot, and I put all of my weight and pressure onto it and pulled myself up onto that stick, and it did bend the standoff a little bit. Now, I hadn't even noticed it until I go to pin everything together, and I noticed that the one pin was just sitting a little bit off on that particular stick. Now, I had climbed up and down, and I had used it since. I don't see any issues with it. There's no cracks, no breaks, no bolts. All the bolts are grade A bolts. They're all marked as grade A bolts, so that's really nice. So I don't see any structural issues here. This was definitely user error, but if you're a big guy like me, it is something to keep in mind. Now, I have seen a lot of different sticks from a lot of different stick manufacturers do a lot worse in terms of big guy damage, so I'm not too worried about that being a quality control issue from Tethrd. Tethrd usually has very good quality control, and like I said, I've been hunting and using these since August, and it took me till almost December to do something stupid, and it has taken me dozens of sits to get there. So definitely, if you're on the lighter side, or in particular, you take that caution every single time you go to set these sticks. It takes 2 seconds to do it right. You'll be just fine. All right, so I have inevitably rambled on way too long in this video. If you have further questions about the Tethrd Skeletors or my experience over the past several months and several seasons using them, please follow links in the description below. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Average Jack Archery, or find me on averagejackarchery@gmail.com by sending me an email or drop a comment here on YouTube. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation. Get up a tree to get a little bit closer, and we'll get to see you next time.